I want you to think about when you first joined Cincy. You got your kit and you sat down to flip through the pages of the catalog. All the possibilities ran through your mind of how this was going to change your life. As you flipped to the end of the catalog, you saw this page. What were your thoughts when you saw this chart? Did you see an obstacle course that you'd never get to the end of? Or did you see a ride that you would enjoy? I saw the obstacle course when I first joined because I didn't understand the blessings that leadership could be. Now, let that sit with you for a moment. I want you to think about this. How many of you knew or know without a doubt that you want to be a leader? Raise your hand. Okay? How many of you found yourself or finding yourself right now in a leadership role by chance? Raise your hand. Maybe somebody found you online and signed up, or a friend signed up underneath you for the discount, but now they want to know more and you don't even know where to start to help them, right? Either way, you're in leadership. So let me tell you a short story. One day, a girl joined Cincy because the scents made her feel so happy and she had a sense of home. She joined for the discount, not to do shows or parties or have a team or anything like that. Raise your hand if you can identify with that. Well, this girl couldn't stop sharing the product and her happiness with others. It became part of her lifestyle. People would come over and tell her her home smelled good, and she would rave on and on about Cincy. One day, someone asked her to do a party. She packed up her kit, went to their house to put it out. She went into the kitchen to visit with people as if she was waiting for the consultant to show up and get things started. The next thing she knew, the host called her and said she wanted to join. Seriously, she had no idea what she was doing. She did know that the products were changing her life. She also knew that she was loving the new connections and the friends that she was making. And all of a sudden, people were joining her on this journey that she just started. Fast forward to 2010, when she hears about the Cincy convention in Denver. She decides to go with her mom so she could visit old friends. What she found out was she got there changed her life. She had a number of people under her at the time, but she had no idea how to help them or guide them. She walked into a room with panels of leaders and heard their stories and saw how this business was making a difference. Orville stood in front of the stage with a figurine in his hand, talking about the next incentive and where it would be to Disney. That maybe they could earn that. That was it. That was it for her. She would finally take her daughter to Disney after being told for years how she would never be able to take care of her or be able to do that for her. She had already remarried and had 3 other beautiful kids with an amazing husband, but this would be very special for her first child, the one who went through the horrible divorce with her. And she would finally do something special just for her. She came back home after their trip to Denver with a fire in her belly. She didn't just earn that Disney trip for her daughter, but she earned it for her whole family of 6. Guys, that was me. You see, I had to hear other people's stories. I had to believe in myself. I had to learn to be brave. I really believe leaders are born at events. That day in Denver, I learned so much about me, and I fell in love with this business. I believe there's an emotional side of this business, and until you feel the belonging, the connection, and the difference that you make in other people's lives, you don't understand leadership. Leadership helps you reach your why faster. Today, you are here at this event, and I believe leaders will be born this week here in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I began Cincy, I didn't have any belief in myself. This was my comfort zone. But after I got home from convention, I was ready to build a team of men and women, powerful ones. I had already hit leadership accidentally and wanted to develop my leadership style to be more intentional and duplicatable to help others. I was ready to hear the no's, climb the obstacle course, fail forward, and change lives in the process. One thing I've learned in 14-year journey is that there are 3 expectations. First expectation, you have got to know that you have expectations of yourself. Second, the expectations that others have of you. And then the next one is going to be the expectations that you have of them. Always 3. These are very important in any relationship, and you have to make sure these expectations are realistic, or you will set yourself up for obstacles in this business. Believe me, I've made so many mistakes along the way. But that is the beauty of leadership. You get to learn from them, teach others, not to make the same ones that you made. There are so many ways to identify leaders, but I'm going to share with you what I base mine on. You can run reports and gather all kinds of information. You can measure consistency, momentum, growth from these numbers. But how do you measure the heart? What I like to measure goes deeper than numbers. I decided to build my leadership around the 5 levels of trust. Some of you might remember this from Orville's keynote in 2016. And there it goes. I think I was hitting the wrong one. I believe this is the cornerstone of having a successful business and leadership. So let's talk about the 5 levels of trust, and I'll share with you what I did to help others. Trust is the foundation of any successful relationship. It's easy to develop, but once it's broken, it is so hard to get back. The first level is ability. This refers to the competence and the skills needed to perform a task effectively. They are willing to learn new skills and take on new challenges to help them grow. The second level is reliability. This means people fulfill promises and deliver consistent results. They do what they say they will do. They show up when they don't even feel like it. And you can depend on them. The third level is judgment. This involves making sound decisions, providing valuable insight. The next level is honesty. This means you build trust by demonstrating integrity and transparency. They do what they say they will do. And the last level is loyalty. This is when they are loyal to the team, their customers, our company here, and foster a long-term partnership. I wanted to use these 5 pillars to create trust in our group. So I set up an accountability meetup for those that wanted to rise up in our business. First, I sent out a survey, and then I found out who was interested. Then I worked with directors and above to create the groups based on their title, availability, and willingness to lead. Once we figured out who the facilitators would be, I created a Trello board. You can also do this in Excel if you want. I paired people together close in title to be more relatable. Example, a director would lead a star consultant and above. A superstar consultant and a star consultant could lead essential and above. We grouped our weekly meetings and we had our facilitator chat. Each facilitator created their own group chat. There was an accountability meetup each week. It was an 8-week commitment, 30 minutes strictly per session. Facilitators started off with 3 questions each week that came from their completion of the Power Hour sheet. There it is. We used the Power Hour sheet for accountability, and it was turned in the night before the meetups took place. We had a weekly topic we were implementing. At the end of each call, the facilitator introduced a topic for the next call. The reason this worked is because we established an accountability that went hand in hand with the 5 pillars. Each facilitator learned focus and attention on each topic. It was a judgment-free zone, accountable to self, but they reported it to them whether they had success that week or not. It was duplicatable because they could identify someone who wanted to run it at the 4-week mark and change up the leadership of the group. You've heard it said before that if you want to be a director, you need to act like one. This was a way that we placed them in leadership in order to gain confidence of leading others, not on their team, but to get the experience they could take back to their own business and their own teams. From this weekly meeting for 8 weeks, we had incredible leadership promotions. We had 96 people who participated. Out of this, we had the following promotions: 1 star director, 4 directors, 12 superstar consultants, 22 lead consultants, and over half of the participants had grown in their business. As you can see from this slide, there's a QR code if you guys want to just see what the survey looked like. But you can see from this slide that there are examples of the survey that was sent out before the start of the 8-week program. We wanted to ensure that they were committed to this process and took it very seriously. This slide is an example of the Trello layout that some use to facilitate the progress and pairing up through the 8-week program. I had to remove names. As I said, you can use this format or an Excel format as long as you are tracking the progress of the program. You can see in this slide how we developed this and what we did. Our expectations and guidelines were presented to each participant prior to the start of the program. We wanted to ensure that they were aware of the commitment and the dedication it would take to complete the program, which also leads into the commitment and dedication of becoming a great leader. I believe this is why it worked for all the facilitators and the participants. It was built on the 5 levels of trust. Ability. The topics were doable by everybody, and by implementing it, it showed them that they could lead others. Plus, it stretched them and challenged them by learning new skills. Reliability. Each session was the same time and place for 8 weeks. Judgment. The leaders were able to make sound decisions and could be creative with each topic. Honesty. It was a safe place in a judgment-free zone. Created loyalty to their business and commitment by showing up. Here are some of the samples that you can see of the positive feedback that we received from some of our participants. Maybe your approach is a bit different than mine, and that is okay. You have to look what works for you and or your group, but do something to either get started or to elevate your process in working with those who show up to help them and recognize their potential and help them reach it. If you focus on these 5 pillars of trust and filter your leadership through them, you will develop a duplicatable leadership style that is embraced, encouraged, empowered to grow others into the leaders that they were meant to be.